Good afternoon. It's February 20th, Comprehensive Plan Committee meeting. Call the meeting to order, and if we could join us for the pledge of allegiance and start us off today. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. So we're missing Russ. Has anybody been in contact with him or heard from him at all?
I have not. I don't know if he's in town, out of town, or.
Okay. We should find out if he's seriously interested in participating in the committee. Okay, approve today's agenda. So what's on our agenda today is really regrouping. We've had a change. We've lost one committee member, our co-chair, for personal reasons, dealing with family issues that are overwhelming to her. So we're regrouping now, and we want to talk about review action items, some things that we've talked about that in the last meeting and prior that need to be have some action on, and see where we're standing on that. Other announcement updates from the committee members or community members. Item 2, new business, is really committee vacancies. I believe the desired outcome for us today is to identify and agree on the need for additional committee participants and what's the skill set we want from them. Do we want an economist? Do we want planners? Do we want engineers? What are we kind of looking for? And if we have any recommendations, we can build on that. The third item is a discussion on the need and agreement on a need for a project manager. If we agree on that, discuss a scope of work for that person and how we present that to village leadership so we can get funding to keep this project on track. Item 4 is community engagement. Our desired outcome for that session should be discussion, agree on important outreach strategies. A couple of things in the works are a town hall concept that has some traction, and village podcasts that have some traction so far, and we can think about other ideas. And then from there, we'll wrap up, review action items, review key messages for council progress updates, so we can help the council here do the update to council on a regular basis, and look at our next meeting date and agenda topics. Anyone want to add or change today's agenda? Sounds like by consensus, we have an agreement on today's agenda. Okay. Meeting minutes from January 23rd. Any changes, additions? Nope. None here. By consensus, we've agreed and approved the meeting minutes ready to be posted to the village website. Okay, any announcements of any sort?
Well, do we want to talk about, are we gonna, is that further down the agenda probably? Or the fact that Mary Ann is.
Yeah, we can announce that Mary Ann McDonald was co-chair of the committee, resigned a few weeks ago. So we do need to fill that vacancy. She did provide us with all the material she's collected, which I believe is now installed in the Google Drive. So everything that she collected and interviews she'd had with various partners, transportation folks, the police chief and others have been included for us for our roundups. Co-chair of the meeting until we figure out how we start to move forward. That's all right. Any other announcements?
We'll say that the manager has put out to all the committees that they need to get a, I guess, charter for the comprehensive plan for us. And the Night Sky Committee submitted theirs to council Tuesday, and it was passed. And I would assume that since wildland people have submitted the defensive space ordinance, and it was passed, that can go on into, I think I gave you a copy of that, didn't I, Allison?
This,
Not the-
charter,
No,
night
not
sky,
the,
oh, no.
not Night Sky.
I believe the DSO is with council. It hasn't come before you all a second time. As far as I know.
Oh,
I believe you all, the council, the village council approved to proceed to send it to your legal counsel, and I believe that's where it sits.
you're right.
Okay.
What's a DSO?
Defensible space.
Defensible
Oh,
space
sorry.
ordinance,
So council approved it, now it's in legal for review
and it's gotta come back to council for a second reading.
okay.
I don't know if this is where I would make an announcement about lodger's tax.
Sure.
So, I did finally get the email that y'all were talking about. So, we have put together a lodger's tax,
Yeah, right.
mission statement.
Okay.
And, long-term goals that we will vote on at the next meeting. And after those are voted on, we can give them to y'all.
Great.
We, did get the lodger's tax information financially, and we can, we'll help forward those.
So you're working on charter and,
I'm not sure what you mean by charter.
well, I'm sorry,
The lodger's tax committee
goals and.
has to be, so it's a mission statement
Emission statement and goals.
and long-term goals. That's what I was under the
The Night
impression y'all
Sky
wanted.
people call it a charter.
Okay.
So, because I spent a good part of my career working with, working committees and doing project manager stuff. I started creating a charter for the Recreation Trails Committee that addressed our measurables, our deliverables, our milestones, our decision-making process, and all these different steps of who's on the committee and how we operate is kind of the foundation for the committee. I think it's led us in good direction, so I will say that I thought, as an example of what happened when there's not a charter, it's exactly what happened at the last council work session with the Night Sky Committee that was just overwhelmed at that podium with not knowing, what am I doing here? It's because they did not have a charter. They did not specifically know what was expected of them from the village. So lack of communication led to that.
I don't know whether in our case, there's actually a resolution
There is.
about the lodger's tax committee. And
So
what we're tasked
a
with.
resolution is very similar to a charter. Here's your mission, here's what you're doing, here's your purpose.
Yeah.
Right? And the our committee doesn't need as much of that as we do need those goals and existing conditions. So we're collecting this much, we could be collecting this much. So existing conditions, your issues, and then how you operate. The goals are exactly what we're reading on now. Our goal is to disperse this much of these kind of projects, whatever your goals are, is what we want to incorporate. So the idea is, to go into this, is that what you're working on, how does that relate to something Recreation Trails is working on? How's the overlap? And so everyone sees the big picture where the village is going, and we see better coordination.
Yeah. One of the things on the Night Sky Committee's issues and goals, the existing conditions can be many things, and they've kind of included an existing condition kind of as an issue. And for instance, it says current code does not include a provision for enforcement. That's of their existing conditions, but it's also an issue, right? So, does not address specific guidelines for various lighting requirements. So these are kind of the existing conditions that they're working with, right?
Yeah.
And that they've also identified, I guess, as an issue. So that's kind of what we're looking for. For our
Yeah,
first step is just to know what we're dealing with, like how much money does the lodger's tax raise per year? What do we think it might raise next year? Things can be spent on, those are existing conditions, that's what it currently both functions, current functions and capabilities, so.
Well, the last part is addressed in the resolution about what it can be spent on.
That's probably some quick background information in the comp plan. Here's a summary of the resolution that addresses what we work on. So that's great that the goals are being developed. Fantastic.
Quick question. The Wetlands Committee is not a village committee.
No.
But we are going to include in the comprehensive plan what is going on there, right?
Yeah, because I mean, we're working in coordination with the village.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
do the work, and it's happening on village property.
Right.
So it's part of one of the sections,
Uh-huh.
which
Mhm.
is,
Natural
last
resource
natural
and
resource,
something.
scenic
Yes,
beauty.
yes.
Yeah,
Well, and the same thing, Mark, with the resort, we probably would have something as what their plans are down the road
Yep.
and things, so we can include it in this.
you
think we
know,
have
I'll
plans?
add them to my. I'll call,
File cabinet's full of them.
Yeah, we're, you know, other than the things that are announced as they get announced, there's not gonna be any kind of, planning document that's gonna be forthcoming from the resort. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the two lifts, pickleball, some adaptations to the base area, probably gonna encompass everything for now.
And I will say, the council voted last Tuesday to pay a portion of a doctor's salary. So we will have a doctor.
Hopefully.
Part-time anyway.
okay, so there we go, okay, on Tuesday. What date was that? 18th?
Yes,
Council voted to, is it support or
So-
total fund?
he's
Not
the,
fully funded.
Well, I think that-
We're paying a portion of the salary. The hospital district will pay a portion of the
I
salary.
think the motion was just to appoint Dr. Rossi as your medical
Yes.
director.
And we approved this,
Well, I thought the medical director was gonna be the chief fire department.
That's what it said on the thing. The agenda.
That's what it's, yeah. I
saw
didn't
that
know,
chief-
but. Chief
That
Vance,
Chief Vance is gonna be the medical director?
That's what it said. in
That's
there.
what it said.
Bill, do you remember?
that's what it said on the
Agenda.
agenda.
it's Dr. Rossi.
I think it's,
I don't even know
I
Dr.
don't-
Ross.
I don't,
And we voted for our portion.
Yeah.
To pay up to $87,000. Well, it's a little more than 87.
So that must have been a misprint.
And, yeah. Cause I don't remember anything else. This was for,
no, and the only holdup is that Dr. Rossi is waiting on state medical credentialing, which is just taking time.
medical director position, that's what it's.
I know, but it actually said on the agenda that it would be Chief Vance. So what I assumed about that was EMT.
That had to be a mistake.
Yeah, I don't think that's correct.
It's Dr. Rossi.
Yeah.
And
Is it ROSSI?
Yeah.
Okay.
didn't he attend one of those medical meetings when we were meeting? Isn't he licensed like in Louisiana or
He's-
someplace?
And I think he's a military,
Yeah,
retired military, and so I think he was recently in Alaska, but he's been around. And has credentials in multiple states, but the most recent was Alaska,
Okay,
as far as I know.
mhm.
so,
And then,
And we didn't clarify this Tuesday night, but isn't he going to be at the clinic at the,
yeah, and I
or is he
don't,
gonna be back?
yeah, I don't know how that's all gonna work between the clinic out towards the Blinken Light and FA1. You know, they're both within the Southern Colfax County Hospital District and receive funds, so. And if he is the medical director for the village, then I think he would have responsibilities at both, but I don't know that
That's
for sure.
that's what Brett said. Tuesday. Have responsibility for both. Plus, he will still oversee the Springer nursing.
Right, Springer as well, yeah.
Yeah. But if you want to look at that, that was what the technical council, and that's what we passed.
Wow, okay, that's good news.
So thank goodness we're moving forward on that.
Yeah.
yes, yes.
So
But we have no idea as far as timing, right? I mean, just waiting on the state. Kind of thing. Could be week,
Don't know.
could be 2 months.
Don't know.
So one other announcement is, Trails Recreation Trails Committee was successful in submitting and receiving $100,000 from the state Outdoor Recreation Division for the extension of the Frank Young Trail from where it currently ends out to connecting Allen Fields and Moreno Valley High School
Secured a grant for
for design and engineering. at this point.
design and engineering. And how much was the grant for?
We got $100,000. So the village has to match part of that. That may be already in that match. I don't know the details. But
Oh.
it will include engineering, probably permitting, because we've got to put a pedestrian bridge across the wetland of the creek. Plus it's gonna be traveling along the sanitary sewer right of way for part of it, so some engineering stuff in there. So that's a good start for that, though, to get that moving on. Don't know details yet. We're expecting to hear more next month from Shay on the conversation with the state.
I did remember seeing that, just didn't have the details of it.
All right, so on to reviewing action items.
Mhm.
Do you wanna go over those with us? Anything that stands out that we still need to work on?
Yeah, let me go back. So old business, review action items. And of course, these will probably be moved along and be action items again, but first one is bullet points for Bill to take to council to give updates on what's going on with this committee, any needs, desires, wishes, requests. I started a list. One of the things that we talked about at one of our previous meetings was a vision for the community. And because actually, we had a request that came through, what was that request through? We did it by email. And we looked up visions for the comprehensive plan and things like that and sent that on. We didn't mean for that to become the vision for the community, but then it started the conversation, hey, we kind of do need something like that. So that would be something that we might ask Bill to take to council and to the mayor and ask, for them to start to work on that. And if that needs to be sent to some committee or whatever to develop, it'd be a good thing to do. I had in here the schedule for the comprehensive plan. We just need to really keep harping on the schedule. And like Attila said today, we're probably gonna be revisiting, regrouping, based on responses we've gotten so far and what we need. Now, our need for information continues to be existing conditions, which can be, whatever project, amenity, service, program out there in any area, what are we dealing with? What is our baseline? What is our overall outline of issues? Then we have our challenges and opportunities, so it can be, like we talked about the night skies, the challenge can be that we don't have specific guidelines, but we can have opportunities for making a better place for wildlife to fly through, for instance. Goals, those tend to have timelines. And we've talked about how we look at those. For instance, on drinking water, we wanna increase the number of, or decrease the number of 2-inch lines by 50% in 5 years. That's a goal. Don't stop. I'm just trying to put an example out there, okay? That's a goal. And recommendations would be taking some of those goals and putting them in priority order. Which ones of these are we gonna go for first, right?
Right.
And some of them can be done at the same time. And then we have a need for a project manager, and we wanna talk about roles and responsibilities with that. But that's just a start for the list, but we can, so anyway, what I did was I made a 1-pager that can also be shared again with council and with the mayor. This is just our outline for the comprehensive plan, just to kind of remind everybody what it is.
Okay.
And
Can I make a copy of that?
absolutely. And it's, it's basically got the executive summary, the background of our community, which includes the community vision, used to be brought in there. And then the plan has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sections, right? And we've honed those over the days, and there may still be changes to this, but this is what we've got right now. So I will get you a copy of that. Oh, my computer, come back. So we talked about sharing the Google Drive, and Santos has done so. Santos, do you wanna, update us just a little bit on that? I've gone in there to look, and, you shared that with us. And it is. Is it gonna come?
Yeah, there's a lot of folders that I think we had created originally, and so I sent everybody on the committee an invite link if you are having issue. I did get, I forget who mentioned they were having trouble. Yeah. And so I haven't heard from anybody else that there have been any challenges, but I do think everybody got an invite so they could, if you were having issues before, but I think or the
I got
original
an
one might have been
invite,
sent.
And then it said, the request has been sent to the owner, and then I got nothing. I got no access, so I'm still having issues. We can work on it, Santos. But, we
Let me
were,
let me take a look at it again, but did anybody else see the invite?
I never got the link, Santos, that you were gonna send me.
All right, I'll try to redo it.
Junk mail, and I haven't dug through
well,
that.
I got the link.
How long ago was it?
That was like 2 weeks ago, maybe.
What was the date you
Yeah.
shared?
It was not
Yeah.
that long.
It
I
wasn't
tried,
long. It wasn't
Well.
I can't do it here because I don't have Wi-Fi, but
right.
anyway,
And Owen might need the link again too.
yeah.
All right, let me try to resend it to those
Okay,
to Allison and to Owen.
Get the
Owen,
link.
which email? Owen, which email is
The Team Curry.
Team Curry? Okay, let me try to do that while we're meeting.
You look like you're in a really big building space.
Yeah, I don't see anything from Santa.
Well, and while he's looking at that, another item we had on our action items was the workforce committee information. Getting that into template format. We got a bunch of information, and I bet you that, Mary Ann put that into the Google Drive, because I think
Okay.
she got access. And we just need to get that into the template format, but that's not a critical right now, but we do need to, assign it to somebody. So anyway, that's a to be determined, and let somebody who wants to put their hand up and say, yeah, I'm gonna do that. Find a committee member to take on. Yeah.
Jumping back to that,
Yes.
I know we get an update on that almost at every council meeting,
Yeah.
but, there's a lot going on with that. It's moving forward rather rapidly,
Mhm.
but evidently there's some additional players who want to come in on this thing, so it's kind of changing as it goes along. So
Okay,
I probably need to sit down with,
that actually speaks to even more to having, the goals and the existing conditions identified. So if new members come in, they can be quickly updated on where things stand. And so they're not gonna try to recreate the wheel, knowing what the goals and the issues are. So that'd be good to get it in the template format. But glad there's more people coming into it, so that's,
well, I don't know where they are in there. They've contacted Jake,
okay.
the liaison to that committee, and they've had some communication. I don't know if they have met with the committee, I'm just not sure. I probably just need to sit down with Jake and
Okay.
go over everything that's going on there, try to get it
okay.
updated.
What was the question, Bill?
No, I just said that there's a lot going on with affordable housing right now. And we get
Oh, yeah.
updates on almost every, meeting, usually from Jake. And he mentioned, I'm not sure if it was last night or the meeting before, that there's some additional players that may want to come in on this. And that's just, nothing has moved on it. There's just some discussion.
Mhm.
I need to, and he just gave us an overview. I need to sit down with him and get specifics.
Yeah, they've had a number of vendors that now that we got awarded for the infrastructure money that want to provide model homes. And the committee has prepared a questionnaire as a first type of screening level of, how long does it take for you to manufacture a product? How long does it take you to deliver a product to see if it can fit within the timelines that they're trying to push? And so rather than Jake trying to do all that by himself with the chair, the committee's actually, I actually got an email from one of the vendors in Texas saying, hey, we just got this. how do we fill it out? So I agree with that. There's a lot of people interested to participate, and they've created a process to try to do some preliminary screening on these candidates to see who should be a good partner for the village. And I think they're still ongoing with their employee survey as well, and trying to get results back and updated too. But yeah, there's a lot of moving parts, and I think that's a fair assessment that more people want to be in the conversation on this housing project.
Try to get with Jay, before we meet again.
Seems like if you went in with a template kind of filled out with existing conditions, so that, you know, insert survey results here for existing conditions, we know that's gonna be a key part of that, but going in with some of the stuff we know with potential goals of, you know, we're gonna create X number of affordable housing units by, you know, measurable goals, smart measurable goals, and if we go back with that stuff, that would start the conversation, I think, pretty well, to try to stay on track. Good. All right,
Still in old business real quick here, we still need to find a committee member to take on the economic development section. To begin with, a community profile, and a lot of this is in the old 2019, it's not that old, economic development plan, which supposedly is a really quite a detailed document. It has a lot of good information in it. It's gonna be difficult without having someone redo it and redo all of the information, recollect all of the information to update it all, but we would like to try, or at least have that as a goal to update it. Or if there are certain things that we know we're missing and that we need to make decisions with, we might have to specifically state those out as to what economic development pieces of information we need. Right?
yeah,
So that's, I'm just saying what we need from that, and finding someone to take that on. So it's out there still. That person would communicate with the Chamber of Commerce on existing conditions and issues. And I know Santos, you had said you might start that discussion with the chamber last time. I don't know if you've had a chance to or not yet, or if you are planning to.
No, I had a conversation with Joe. I'm gonna be in Angel Fire tomorrow and Monday to do some follow-up with her.
Okay. Great.
In some conversation with someone, the economic, seems like I heard we're thinking about a position for an economic development person. Did that come up in lodger's tax, or is that just, or am I dreaming that?
No, I mean, I was part of that group in 2019. We thought we'd come up with some pretty good things, and it was just shuttered. So
It's a good,
it's still relevant.
it's very relevant.
Could it just be resurfaced and adopted and incorporated?
I don't know, I mean.
it gave really good information about hitting critical mass to move to the next level of healthcare, and
Oh, wow.
the number of people we would need to have full timers here
It's a great.
to like bring, this level of people. And
Mhm.
because it was actually facilitated, I think we got a grant, so we had a professional organization come in and lead it through the whole development of it all. And, but then it just got.
It needs to be.
I was in a conversation recently, but I don't remember who it was with. But, I'll get with Brett and see if that's something that they're looking at bringing back to life.
Yeah, we probably had about 20 stakeholders at the whole thing.
Yeah.
So it was good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a great
I
document.
remember that. And
I don't know how
and
accurate it still is.
it's something that is needed.
And
and
to
we
bring
should
key
be-
aspects of it into the comp plan would be really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it had metrics, like if you get to 2,000 permanent residents, then all of a sudden you qualify for this and you become,
That's
we're a
excellent.
profitable place for hospital, or, if you do this many, then you can get this next level, like the treatment facility.
Key details, key data, that's awesome.
If I get in to see Santos tomorrow, he and I will have a discussion on that.
Okay, I'll put that down. Bill and Santos are gonna talk about that.
But I'm sorry, I can't get the agenda up on my screen here, but if we're still in old business, I do have something to add.
Yep, we are.
So I did get a beta link, is what I'm going to call it, to the new GIS system from UNM. And unfortunately, I can't get my laptop audio to work. That's why I'm on my phone. But I was hoping to share the screen with you, and it's got every parcel in the village, all the zoning districts, all the roads, all the addresses for structures. They've allowed for editing, so the water mains and sewer mains that we don't have on the map can be added, and they showed me how to walk through that to try to get a better assessment of how many 2-inch mains do we have, how many 6-inch mains do we have, and where are gaps on sewer infrastructure as well. So it's only been a week old since I've had access to it. So I'm going to try to get together with Kurt on the maps he's taken down to our on-call engineer to try to get scanned into PDF and see how we can make just one map that's got all these details. The idea is there'll be a public version for anybody to see what the zoning layers are by parcels on what street. But then there'll be a private viewing for internal staff to understand, where the 3-inch mains are, where the water tanks are, where the pump stations are at, booster stations as well. That's not really something I think folks want to have shared in the public venue, but it's a good map. I do need to make some updates on some of the zoning layers. For example, the Girl Scout Ranch is an O level, but I think they've classified it as a C2. So there's some cleanup and housekeeping that needs to happen as well. But they have provided a deliverable that I think is a really good start, and working on some upgrades to it.
We wanna try, Santos, okay, our next meeting is probably gonna be about a month out. Shoot.
Presentation at the next.
Yeah, that seems a reasonable goal to have, to at least give an update of where we are in a month on this map, and hopefully I can actually be an angel fire to just put it on the screen,
That would be great.
or yeah, because I don't have a link to share with folks yet. It appears UNM wants to do a monthly update because they're reporting this over to a state database as well for 911 services that's related to Colfax County, is my understanding. This whole thing started from 911 services in Colfax County. And, but yeah, I think it'd be a reasonable ask to demonstrate where we are next month and how we keep this moving.
Okay, awesome. Done with old business.
Yeah, item G, I've been talking to Greg about some other topics, so we'll start talking about how we share more community information or committee information with the website.
When you're talking back to F, I mean, when we were presented with the material, Lodgers Tech financial information, it was just in a PDF. I mean, when you're talking about collecting it, like who would be the person collecting it? And how would it be, what format would it need to be in?
So, the format we've been working on, we've shared, and of course, I'm really not gonna get my hands on it right this second. But it is a Word format for now.
So someone would need to fill it out. And
Yeah, you just have to bring the information into that format. Should always have this just ready to go, shouldn't we? This kind of looks like it. I have that down.
Yeah, there was the challenges, implications, and recommended action, but I think for that, that's really just a narrative report that you may already have in a PDF form. That would be just part of the chapter on economic information, so I think it's.
Okay. That was it.
Okay.
So, the other thing we had on here was collect economic data on lodgers tax receipts and annual growth rate on Curry. they were saying,
That's what we're just covering right now, that F idea, that,
Yeah, just sitting at.
it's in process. Well, how do we wanna handle that?
well, that just would be a narrative, a part of that chapter that, you know. Yours
We can put it in the Google Drive.
could be there, and if we
We
put it
should
there,
put
it's also gonna be
economic
a,
development, we should have a folder for each section,
yeah,
and then that can go in there as a start.
yeah.
And we're gonna have someone work on it, maybe the project manager, to put it into the new form.
And it could be even just a Excel spreadsheet or a chart showing here's what's happened over the
Yeah.
years.
And it's difficult really to say how much we're gonna collect, because the new program that we have with the village is gonna help identify people who aren't paying.
Mhm.
And then once we get that all identified, then we'll have a better idea of how much money.
That's an existing condition. It's an issue and it's an existing condition. We don't necessarily have all the information.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay,
You just need to know it. Okay, I'll put in here, gather information and put in.
And I would say the goals by the end of the year. You know, to identify everybody's trying to collect all that.
Santos, question?
Yeah, I've got GRT numbers going back to 2019 that are in a spreadsheet that I could put in the Google Drive. And then I've also got numbers for lodgers tax, but I don't think I don't think I have 2024 from July 1st, 2024 numbers. I do have some historical numbers.
No,
So I'll try to put this in a spreadsheet and put it in the folder on the Google Drive.
okay. And Santos, since you have access to the Google Drive and it is your Google Drive, could you make a section, a folder for each section?
Yeah,
I'll send-
there is one. There's one for like maps. There's one for I think there was like the park plan that we originally had. So there should be some separate folders under the overall comprehensive plan folder.
Okay, because I was thinking one for land use and plan development, one for one for wastewater, water, solid waste, one for roads and transportation, recreation, and all of each section, and then we can start developing and building each section within those folders. Obviously, some are not gonna fit in just one place, and some might be needed in two different places. All right,
You know, the finance department is going to be auditing the lodgers tax information, finances, here real soon.
the last item, well, second to the last item is communicate with Greg Ralph and Shay to.
Yeah, I just mentioned that, that's
Yeah.
sort of underway, but, nothing to report.
Okay, and then identify potential agenda items, so what we did, so.
All right, okay to move on to this item 2, committee vacancies. All right, desired outcome, identify and agree on the need for additional committee participants. And if so, what's their needed skill set? Open for discussion.
We need more committee participants, and we need people to take on sections, right? To like the economic development, let's see, we have, So-
The natural resources section doesn't have anybody really.
well, which
Sort of.
one?
I think section 8,
8, natural and scenic beauty?
Yeah.
I'm kind of on that one.
okay,
That's me. That one currently has like air quality, which, takes some information from the wildfire, fire adaptive, fire department, and our solid waste, but we do a slash for the most part. In the past, our comprehensive plan had all this information on, how we were gonna be green building and how we were gonna reduce, car use and things like that. I think ATVs is something we might, talk about as far as we know that they have.
Rules.
I know, it's a wish, it's a goal, it's
No,
a,
wait, that's
it's
come
an
before
item to
council
be-
multiple times.
I know, but it's just,
By multiple people.
but the past comprehensive plan had stuff in there that was just, it was for a big city kind of thing. And it wasn't really,
There's probably also lots of federal money available for those kind of initiatives and stuff. You put it in a plan, you get the federal money. We know there's no federal money for the next 4 years. So how do we do stuff here? But really, besides that, I don't want to get into details on the different parts of that plan, but we do need additional people, and their roles are primarily to help with content. But if we have a consultant that help with develop content or provide that, is that a duplicative role for a committee member? Seems like one of the roles for committee members is also almost being an ambassador about the importance of the plan, talking to others. So what kind of people do we need on this thing if we have more? What would they have some role in connecting and being a liaison with the committees for sure. We need that.
well, the way we had been going at it was each person would take on a section or two.
Yeah.
depending, And they would be the ones to enter information into the spreadsheet or the template. And that, then once we had that information in there, we developed some narratives based on what was in the previous plan and update that, right?
Right.
That's kind of the way we were going at it. Now that we're saying maybe having a project manager, that could change a little bit, right? Is kind of what you're saying.
Well, the project manager may have a bigger role in capturing all that information from the committees and doing that, the grunt work that
Yeah.
no one wants to do.
Well, and I think that's the project manager concept is probably an important one from the standpoint is finding people who have the time to do all of these things. You know, you need to be upfront with people in advance. You know, this is 10 hours a week,
Yeah.
or this is 2 hours a week. Because if you get people in and they, you know, it's way more of a commitment than they're able to do, then you're not gonna be happy with the result. And I would say, I'm a perfect example, you know, if it's an hour, maybe 2 a week, I'm fine. If it's gonna go beyond that, then I'm probably not a good fit for the committee. Only because I still have
A life, no job.
I work 50 hours a week in my business, you know, so.
Mark, do you sense the need for more people in the committee as well?
Well, yeah, definitely, and people that got some time and some expertise to pick up the areas where we're lacking, you know, I mean, this is a kind of a constant struggle, and I gotta figure out where I can kind of best spend my time on this stuff, you know, right now I'm heavily active in the assisting the Cimarron Watershed Alliance with the next CWDG grant.
Thank you.
You know, which was 10 million the last time, we're hoping 10 million again if it gets funded for the next time. And I think everybody here was aware, but the last grant was the top grant out of almost 600 applications that were filed. So I think we've got a good team on that. So like I'm trying to focus on things like that. I do think that you know, we just need some more people to, you know, do the lifting. And I'm already getting in enough trouble back up the hill for being spread too thin. So there's a lot, right? There's a lot that needs to go into it. So you know, and I'm constantly you know, once I'd heard that Mary Ann was gonna have to kind of step back, I didn't realize she was gonna have to fully step back until today, which is unfortunate, and I don't know the details, but you know, I'm kind of already been thinking, you know, who can fill that role? But I also think we need some people that are kind of focused on the relationships with the other committees that sort of, not that they report up to this committee, but you know, work in conjunction. Yeah, exactly. We need some more of those folks. Like I'm happy to continue to report to this committee on what the Firewise Adaptive Committee is up to, what's going on with the airport. you know, I think we're pretty close to being done, on the medical care and that coverage, hopefully, fingers crossed. Yeah, to answer your question, yes, I think we need some more folks, broad expertise that can help, with what this committee's been tasked with, for sure.
That's actually a good idea of maybe making it required that one person from those other committees be a part of this committee.
Yeah, whether, I mean, I'm, you know, I sit on this one, but I sit on the other ones and I'm happy to kind of fill that role, but yeah, there are other committee members that perhaps could, you know, just sit in to monitor
Right.
you know, I don't know how you do it, whether you grab one from those committees and have them kind of come to us, or if it's somebody that's on this committee that then goes to, you know, be sort of,
Well, if it's an active person on one of those other
Yeah.
committees and their only responsibility is handling that committee's portion of the comprehensive planning, then it may not be as much of an ask.
yeah, I mean, I do think we just need someone, we should focus on getting someone to, sit as co-chair. Again, somebody that is seeing it from the sort of the 45,000 foot view,
Right.
and then try to backfill the liaisons to the other committees. But the number one thing to me would be to get,
Was there, I mean, Mary Ann has a pretty specific background. And I don't even know, is there other people?
She was a civil engineer.
Yeah, is there other people in our community like that
Well, I don't know if a civil engineer is the right fit. I think you need a regional urban planner. And that's the world I came from, because it's thinking at 45,000 feet where I could care less about the implementable action that some group's gonna work on. I wanna think about, you know, what's the big picture for this village on the vision and these other big goals? That's what a comp plan does. You know, when we start digging into calling blue bus transportation and looking at their routes, that's about the 8,000 foot level, not at the 40,000 level. So it's,
Yeah.
I like this idea, Mark, of having, you know, manager told us last time, we need to spend more time educating people on the process, and then we probably do, we've made good concerted efforts to do that, but if committee members participated, they would know what this thing is about. And we could see participation that way, but you're right, we do need two co-chairs on that. I'm not willing to chair by myself unless we have a project manager that helps.
yeah,
Move this along.
yeah, and I didn't mean to
No,
imply
I'm with
that
you.
we necessarily need two co-chairs, right? But yeah, we need either somebody else to co-chair with, or really a project manager to kind of keep track of everything at a high level. I do apologize, I've got to get in front of my screen by 4 for a Zoom.
Okay,
But the one thing I did want to bring up is, just so that we have in plenty of time, I mentioned the application, we're trying to get the application for the next grant, in this cycle. This is phase 3. And we have it on pretty good authority that there's not going to be a 4 or a 5, even though it was initially planned. It's a, you know, and obviously you spend 2 minutes watching the news, you know why. But it does sound like that, you know, that they're at least accepting applications for this round, this phase 3. We're going to make sure we get that in. It's going to be, these applications, are much more successful, if there is, buy-in and cooperation from lots of different landowners. The Angel Fire, the community itself, doesn't qualify on its own because we are too wealthy. So we need other areas of unincorporated Colfax County to join in with this application. We believe we've nailed that down, so we should be in very good shape. They basically strike you, it's a rating system on 100 points, and they dock you 10 points right out of the gate if you don't meet the income requirements. And we wouldn't. And last grant cycle, you had to score an 88 or higher to get the grant. So we would be at a theoretically out of a top of 90 without other parts of the community. So Rick Smith thinks he's got that squared away. So that would be my update for Firewise. And then the only other thing is I know we had talked about using the annual meeting in towards the end of June, the annual meeting for the association for very brief types of presentations. One would be, I think we're going to use that to roll out. Here's the defensible space ordinance, phase one. Here's kind of what it means. But I do see for this particular committee, it might be useful to say, hey, did you all know we've got a comprehensive plan committee. This is kind of what it does. And, we're looking for folks to assist based on, and here's what we're looking for. That I don't know if anyone's been to that meeting in the last several years, but we have, there's 300-400 people in there sometimes. And, I certainly can facilitate getting, the 90 seconds to 3 minutes, but much more than that. And everybody
Can I respond to both of those for you?
Yeah,
So
sure.
one is the project manager scope of work. I believe I shared that with everyone in an email recently. So that is one piece, so that I put together a key elements for the consultant. So maybe when you get a chance to take a look at that and see if you would add or change anything on that, since you've got to leave. And we're going to cover this next, Mark. And the second one is a village town hall proposal. So my life was community engagement in the process. So I pitched this after a quick meeting with the village manager. I pitched the idea of a town hall that I've heard them talk about. I know Kurt wants to do one. So I proposed this town hall concept a month ago, and it's getting some traction. I think Brett's now directed Greg and Brandon to go forth and do this. But the idea is that every committee would table at this town hall and have up their big issues, their key goals.
Sure.
Have a place so I could go over to lodger's tax and say, I have a problem with this. You have comments on it. It would not be a bunch of dignitaries talking. It might be the mayor would say 5 minutes at the beginning, and then the open house, you come and go. One of the questions that is come up is, should we do that in conjunction with members weekend, or should we do it earlier? And I don't know the answer to that yet, but we're gonna have a conversation. I think it should be right after everyone comes back for the golf season. So do it in May before.
Yeah, that annual meeting, it's a short, short hits. That's, people are trying to get to the lunch, and it just is what it is, right? So maybe there's not really the focus, but
Okay, yeah, so that's on it's in the works in this town hall idea. Santos.
The other thing to be mindful of is that I know we talked about piggybacking on the annual meeting, but there's another meeting I think we might pursue a piggybacking on. And Bill, you guys have work sessions on your budget that's due in May, last week of May, and you typically have town halls to talk about that, where if the idea is people are coming to find out what's on the wish list for fire, for police, for all the other departments, the idea of having this open house where we just have tables and what you just mentioned, Attila, where folks can look and see what are the big items and dark skies or parks and trails, that might be if we're looking to piggyback on something. I think April and May is when those work sessions and town halls are happening anyway. And then you could do a follow-up in July at the annual meeting as well. So
I apologize, I do have to run.
Thanks
but,
for
just
coming
let me
today.
know when the next meeting is. And, all right. Good to see you.
And I will say one other thing is that we've contracted, there will be it's 40 by 120 foot tent here, and that would be a nice outdoor space. Typically, just because of what we do, really want maximum, you would wait till June. That's when the majority of the part-timers get in.
Yeah, so we need to talk about that. I might even wonder if we can do a Facebook poll.
See when they
And
have
see
it.
when people would be interested in showing up for that. We sold it out. I'll talk to Greg about that, but I think the later we do this, the harder it is to get this document done by November.
And we could look at doing, something where we sweeten the pot by having some kind of event or something
Yeah,
afterwards. So,
yeah.
So,
Okay,
all right, so so after Mark's report, let's go back. We were vacancies, so we want more people. Does anyone know Loretta Tollefson in town? Know the name?
I know the
I
name.
know the name, but I don't know.
She writes books.
She writes the books. She's also a retired planner from the Middle Rio Grande Council of Governments
Oh.
in Albuquerque. So I have no idea if she has an interest or not in participating, but that is a potential
Yeah, someone to reach out to.
target planning. She was probably a transportation planner. That's what most of the college folks do.
Yeah, well, they do
Um,
wastewater also planning.
Yeah, I think she was transportation from my
Oh, okay.
runs with her, I
Oh,
think.
okay.
So,
All right.
but that kind of person might be good, but if we want more people, do we just tell Brett we need 2 more people? Or do we want to pursue this idea of seeing if committee liaisons or committee folks would want to participate? More for knowledge and maybe pick up one or so tasks, but really being a voice for the importance of the comp plan.
And my thinking on it is we should recommend to BJ 1 or 2,
Okay,
because we may get, if not, we're not gonna have any input. And we don't know what we'll get. Now, Owen, you mentioned about possibility of people on other committees serving. I don't know if they would, here's Attila, he's serving already,
yeah.
but
I think if your role was limited, was the.
maybe if they had a person from those committees who could come here at least on occasion as a liaison from their committee and give us information. That way, they wouldn't be taking on a whole lot of responsibility.
And maybe not all of them at once is what you're kind of saying.
That's right,
Maybe
maybe,
2 of them.
maybe
at
1 or 2
meeting.
come whenever,
We
yeah.
ask these
Mhm.
2 to come, and then the next
Mhm.
meeting, we ask 2 more to come.
Mhm. Good idea. That way we can keep up a little better on what all these committees are doing. And some of them are basically finished.
Thoughts on that, Santos? Anything?
I think maybe we do both. I mean, if we've got people that we know of that would be qualified candidates, I think we should reach out to them. But I like the idea of let's maybe select some of these committee members on these other committees to join in as well. I don't know of a harm of trying both approaches.
Yeah, I agree. So,
So if it's the skill set we want, do we want primarily planners or do we want engineers or people that are communication experts that can help us with outreach efforts and, put stuff on the website? We need all those kind of skills on this thing to help us advance this thing.
I know what we can get. Oh,
What don't we want? I mean, I think everyone who's on this committee recognizes that we're here. While Owen has a vested interest in his business, he sees the bigger picture of the community. And same with me and Recreation Trails. So all of us here see there's a bigger vision than just we're not here trying to drive home the point of rentals or whatever it is. We've got other, bigger things. So that's, one criteria, you have to have a big view.
Well, I remember one of the first things we saw was the 2008 plan, and my wife and I were super excited. When we saw it, we're like, wow,
I know.
it's
I know.
growing,
Right.
and then
And
it
then just,
never went anywhere. So I mean, I think it's important from that aspect and, especially something visual. So I mean, if you can get people in that maybe have that ability,
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we're trying to make the plan with that format there is every section is gonna be very, very. There's gonna be a narrative that goes with it, but it's gonna be easy to see and know what is going,
What's happening?
what's happening and what we need to happen, and that people can easily point to it. You don't have to read through a paragraph to find something, that tells you what our plans are
Yeah.
for an area. And then the village obviously uses it for grants, it uses it to kind of, well, what does the comp plan say? And I know the mayor has said it numerous times, so I'm gonna hold him to it.
Well, it's gonna give them an opportunity that, the council work session, council staff work session, to
Yeah.
come up with the annual work plan.
Well, part of the comp plan is gonna be, this will be brought up at least every, how often, as to ask, what's the status of some of these things?
Okay, so our recommendation is we want at least 2 more people.
Yeah.
To serve on the committee on a regular basis, committing, explain the responsibilities. We also are gonna invite the working committees to participate on a infrequent basis. To participate so we know,
Right.
they can know.
Each meeting we have.
Try to get 2 there.
We'll try to get at least 2. And you're gonna have to, what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to call them, tell them the date, ask them if they will do this, not just an
And let
email.
them know what you want to know from them.
Exactly.
So they can come prepared.
It's gotta be a conversation. It cannot just be, tell the mayor to call somebody. No.
Right, exactly.
We have to be on the phone with them, talking through it.
And that goes back to the idea of being an ambassador for the project, because then you can go back, yeah, this is kind of a good idea, because it actually makes our work aligned with their work or someone else's.
And when you
work.
get on the phone with them, you can also ask them, have you had any recent developments? Is there anything along these lines? And you go through what you would ask them, about existing issues that you could bring to our committee that we could talk about. If they say no, you go on and find someone else. All right?
Mhm. Okay, so the other piece of this is the next item on this, moving on, is this project manager concept. And I first joined this committee, I proposed that we needed a project manager from day one. Knowing that these things are complex projects, a lot of time commitment. So I proposed, thinking about this, I put together some key elements for the consultant, and I just want to kind of go over these. This is what I was thinking. That could go into a scope of work for a consultant. Become familiar with the 2008 plan. They review all of our minutes or Google Drive, see what's out there, what they know. So it's really become project familiarization. If we're gonna get this thing done by November, in cooperation with council liaison and committee, which means you have to go back to council to double check on this stuff, is revisit and adjust our project timelines. Are we still gonna say, can we assure that we're gonna have all the goals, the primary goals pretty well crafted by our town hall that can be then voted on by the public? Yeah, I think this is your number 1 priority. This is the number 3 priority. Can we get to that point where then this consultant go back and start putting the document together? So look at those timelines to what's realistic or not. Our role is, we said we're really supporting the coordination of the comprehensive plan and not really developing it. So we need someone to help do that development part. So we need help in getting the information from working committees. And so if we actually have more committee members or these liaisons works, that could come out of here. But the idea is that we need someone calling the committee chairs or the council liaison and say, this is really important to have this information because we can't move forward without it. And then instead of always it being on council to go do that, or Brett hassling someone else, this person has that responsibility. And it'd be a contract, so they'd be accountable to the village and vice versa to get this work done. This idea is coming up next of a town hall, and so this person could coordinate the working committee presentations of helping them prepare their poster board of their key issues or their key goals and how we're gonna vote on that and how we're gonna collect public comment. A lot of that may be starting with already with Greg and Brandon thinking about the town hall. They've already started thinking about this. The other piece is adopting a community vision. So the one thing we keep hearing about is that there's this outdoor recreation, but it's never been adopted in policy by anyone. So how you prioritize your goals is fully dependent on what your vision is for the future of this community. So that drives a lot. What are we trying to do? Are we trying to be an outdoor recreation destination? Are we trying to be the best healthcare in northern New Mexico? The most affordable housing? What is it we want to be? Determines on how we set those goals up. And so one idea for a visioning exercise that could happen at a town hall is that, the headline in the Enchanted Circle News 10 years from now is whatever you think Angel Charge should be. And that could be wordsmith, or it could be word clouded to have some conversation around what a vision could be for the community. That could be adopted and put into the plan that would, help us drive work plans and annual budgeting towards if you're trying to achieve this vision in 10 years to get there. Develop print and social media information about the comp plan and how to engage with the process, because we sure don't have the resources to do that ourselves. Prepare a draft document, including sections and chapters as proposed by the committee. And then an important piece is facilitate a council and village staff work session to develop the 24-month action plan. And this is kind of important. You can't go wrong with professional facilitation. You saw that in your economic development plan, and Santos knows that, others know that having someone walk you through the process gets the desired result you want. And I think that's an important part that this person should do. And they prepare the final document with action plan and co-present with the planning director for adoption by village council. So I put that as a quick scope of work. I'm thinking that if we had someone, not just keep it on the timeline, but actually doing these things, and planning consultants, the Consensus Inc. and Plan Collaborative and others are really skilled at these kind of tasks and doing comprehensive plans. And so, it sounds like from our earlier conversation with the manager, he'd be willing to support if we went together with a proposal that we need a project manager. So then the other two questions come into it is that the village has informed me that a new planning director is starting April 1. But that person is gonna have their hands full just trying to wrap their head around what this village is about for at least 6 months. And so then the question becomes Santos is his firm, could this be something his firm could do, or would we wanna pursue an RFP to pursue someone else to do this work? And then our role would be really the voice in between, the community voice for the consultant doing the rest of the plan for us. So we still have a really important piece to make sure it's on track, a lot of review, a lot of edits, a lot of work on that, but I think a project manager would get us done.
Do you or Santos have an idea of like what this would cost?
I think you could do it for under 50 probably. Maybe even less, depending on what we.
What is
take
the
on.
period of time we're looking at?
Between now and November, we want to present this in November.
What's the maximum? Do you remember what the dollar amount is that you have to, once you cross over, you have to get an RFP?
Yeah, whether it's even sole source or not.
Yeah.
Do you remember what that is?
Not
Santos got
20.
his hand up. 20.
Yeah, so anything under 20, you've got discretion from the mayor manager to, sign on. Anything over 20, but I think it's 20 to 60, you go with low bid. However many bids you get, you're supposed to go low bid. But once you go over 60, then you get to select best qualified or best fit. So those are the thresholds I remember, and that there's complete discretion by the village if it's under 20. Then there's the next tiers, you have to go low bid out of all the bids you select. But then once you hit 60 and above, you get to be more selective on which firm you want to go with. Is it an in-state firm? Is it a firm that's done work in Angel Fire before? Whatever criteria the council has at their discretion to review.
So, yeah, Santos, maybe the same question. What's your thought on this, and what do you think this kind of a contract what's the value in that from your professional opinion?
So my only concern is the discretion of the council. And I think we've talked about this as a committee before, that there are firms out there that do this type of work, but they haven't been engaged in Angel Fire over these last 4 or 5 months on these conversations with the committees that are going on. And so how much are they going to have, how much lead time are they going to have to engage in to still get up to speed, kind of like the new planning director. So just from that perspective, giving council discretion at 60 or above to say, we understand your qualifications, but our time calendar is condensed and we'd really like to go with firm A or B is really the avenue I'd be pursuing. Rather, not so much it's 80, it's 60, it's 55, it's ensuring that the council makes sure that we've got a right fit to still meet the timelines and commitments that this committee and others have put forward, as trying to get a lot done in 2025 rather than dragging it out to 2026.
So it sounds like we need to oversee.
And so you think, can this be accomplished for under 50? From this scope of work that I kind of drafted up?
I think it can. It's just my only pause with that is that that's, I think, in the low bid range. And so, the quality of work that you could give for 50, but the next person bid 27. Oh, okay. That's the only real low concern I have, and making sure we get it right is getting the right firm to do the work that is expected and not just lowball it just to get a bid. But in theory, could we do it at 50? I think you could. Absolutely. 50 or less, I think you could. I don't want to expose a risk to the village of selecting a low bidder just because you have to select a low bid. That's all.
I mean, what do you think is a typical hourly rate on something like this with overhead and all that kind of stuff?
I think you're going to get a ballpark overall bid from someone there. It's not going to be drilled down to an hour. It's going to be, here's a project rate is what my guess would be.
But I can see this being 20 hours a week minimum, don't you?
Yeah, some weeks,
I mean,
20 hours,
that's-
20 hours average probably.
And you're talking 150 or more per hour for a consultant, because they got all their overhead,
Yeah, yeah.
everything that comes into that.
So Santos, if somebody was to, let's say somebody bid 50 and somebody else bid 70, you're saying if somebody bids below 60, you have to take that?
Now, if you put out an RFP, so there's
Like-
two different levels. There's an RFP, there's an God, I forget the lettering in, but when you put it out there, the expectation is you're trying to get something at or below 50, you're trying to get something at above 60. And I remember the procurement officer had those bands written out better. Maybe it's just the terminology. If it's going out for bid, it's X, but if you had somebody coming in at 50 and somebody else coming in at 70, I just want to make sure that the village has a discretion to pick the one that they feel is a better match. That's all. I don't know that you'd have to go with the 50. I mean, somebody's still entitled to say, I can do it for 38, but then I'm going to have 17 change orders. And maybe that's the reason why somebody else comes in at 70 and says, I think this is a better comprehensive grasp of what the costs are going to be. So.
And I think we've heard from you that you saw yourself potentially taking on a bigger role in the comp plan if in fact the planning director came on, it's supposed to come on in December, but pushing that back into April. If we keep this in-house, does your firm have capacity to take on some of these tasks?
Absolutely, especially if the daily operations were handed off to someone else. it's not that it's an inconvenience, it's just, it's really hard to jump into this. And then you've got customers at the counter and you got phone calls coming in on how do I get an address? And, how do I combine my lots? Having someone else dedicated on just the day operations, I think would be extremely helpful. That yes, my firm would have the capacity to assist on the comprehensive plan, because then that's the reason why I'm coming to Angel Fire.
Okay. I'd prefer to keep it with you in-house because you know the commuter, we've been working on, you have already have the institutional knowledge of what we've done in previous plans, so that would reduce a lot of that, probably some familiarization costs, for sure. We have a good working relationship, but then, how do we pursue relieving him of his day-to-day frontline
Right.
work if he's gonna do this? How can council help with that, or do we have to wait till April for the planning director?
I was told that this gentleman was willing to come in early to get a head lead into what the operations look like. I have not heard of when that availability is, but maybe that's just something we should just start aggressively pursuing. If his retirement is supposed to be at the completion of first quarter 25, I'm assuming there's some downtime that he can come in and we can start walking him through to get him set up rather than waiting for April.
I guess I was confused. So we're talking about somebody coming in for planning and zoning.
Yeah, there was a new planning director that has been,
I thought we were talking about project manager.
No.
We are,
so we're,
well.
yeah, it's kind of two things, so
Two things.
the planning director's coming in that would probably take over the day-to-day operations that Santos has been focused on for so long. That's not the project manager. It could be, but April's too late for us. We need someone to jump in now. Could Santos jump in now if he can be relieved of the front desk? When is my utility bill gonna be, not come to me? Lots.
That's a subtle update, Attila. I like that.
Yeah, so, when the question is, these weird moving pieces where Santos has the skill set, he's got his firm. It's already probably a contract with the village, so it'd be very simple for him to assume responsibilities in this scope of work.
Santos, how many hours do you currently dedicate of your schedule to your job here?
So it doesn't stop. I mean, I was in Dallas yesterday fielding phone calls from property owners in Florida trying to get questions on their property in Angel Fire. I've had people requesting information on permits as well. So it's really ongoing. To put an hour on it, I'm in Angel Fire for 6 hours physically, at least maybe 9 a week. But then it's just always ongoing. I'd say at least 20 with fielding the emails and phone calls, even from here.
I always find that time from midnight to 6 a.m. You're not doing much that you could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Yeah. I did get a call from the mayor on a Sunday morning at 10:30, and his comment was, "You're a contractor," so I figured I'd call you now. I said, "Well, that's fine. I don't mind that, but you're call number 8
Wow.
today."
Wow.
So that's the other part is that, and I don't mind this. I think that's part of the making sure that the office functions is, my personal cell phone is the contact, and my business email is the contact. So I field those calls and correspondence and try to get back to people as soon as I can.
Do you have a feeling for what the planning and zoning director is gonna do? Because I mean, these are day-to-day operations. A director doesn't tend to do that kind of stuff.
I don't know what the responsibilities are with the job description says. I haven't seen anything, so.
I can tell you this, it's just from my experience for 4 years, it's very seasonal. I mean, right now, there's a little downtime. We had 2 housing permits come in last week. But it's about to pick up in March and April when folks start to see that well, I don't know that the ground ever thawed, but it's very seasonal that once spring hits, that's when you start getting more and more permit requests to come in. And then it tapers back down in late October, 1st of November, kind of like, the tourist season does. So from a planning management perspective, it's starting to get busy, but then it's going to taper down again. So
I don't think it would hurt for the director to do some of that job because it gives them a really good perspective on what things need to be done on a broader scale.
So, did you have a question for Santos a second ago?
I guess it was just how would we phrase this, the recommendation?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna go towards. So do we just put the recommendation that we need a project manager with at least, this is a draft scope of work to the mayor and the manager, and then let them figure it out, and then I'm sure they would bring Santos into that conversation, whether he'd be the.
Do we
Right person.
recommend that we would like Santos and his organization to it and that he would,
But-
If we
in
would
order for
say
that to
that,
happen, he would need to be relieved of certain duties?
that's probably beyond their authority to say that, that's probably for management to make that decision, but we can say that.
as a suggestion, you could say as a minimum threshold, put a minimum threshold of firms' recent experience in working with the village is another threshold you could put. It's at a minimum of, I don't know, 24 months, 36 months of engagement in the community might be a good guardrail to ensure that you're not, again, picking a firm that has to go back so far to get up to.
Yeah, we don't wanna pay to get somebody up to speed.
Right,
Yeah, that was, we keep talking about April the 1st, but Santos is already up to speed. If you hire somebody that it's totally new, it's gonna take them months to get up to speed.
Not only that, how long does it take to acquire said contract?
right.
Well, a couple of months.
Minimum.
Yeah, so if you would like the committee, tomorrow, if I can get with Santos, I know he's gonna be busy. Maybe he and I can talk about this and maybe get some idea of getting with the mayor and seeing what he,
You want to
Okay,
consider
second.
with the manager first?
I will go with how Santos would like to proceed with that. Because I think it would be probably the mayor first and then he would go to the village manager. Or we might talk to both of them, I don't know, but we could kind of lay out some ideas and then try to meet with,
It might be good to have a
Both.
conversation that's more general before we put very specifics down on the thresholds, because that allows you to cover some of these little side pieces. Like
So
what
does it-
they have envisioned for the director versus what, they have envisioned for Santos to do, and the time crunch for all of that.
I think the scope's right on.
Yeah,
Okay, sounds okay?
Yeah.
great.
Right.
You saw what I sent in the email, right, on the scope?
No, I did not, I have to go back. and
Okay,
look
it's,
for it.
it just, I said it was good, but I just said, and here's, generally what I see it meaning.
Okay, I'll pull it up.
And I don't know if it would add anything or not.
I'll probably look at it, if it needs any revision, I'll send them the version out. Okay, very good. Next item. I believe is town hall proposal. Is that right? Or kind of
Yes, it's
community
under community
engagement.
engagement.
Um,
I already wrote down a number of things with this.
so it's interesting because as much as the committees think they're engaging the community, I don't think it's really happening. And this is even for the council work session, the Night Sky Committee said, well, we have meetings. But I've never seen a draft ordinance from them and I don't
No.
personally have time to go to every website and look for all this
No,
stuff. So there's this disconnect on, just because there's, all these great committees with STP, same time people on them, that we think we're sharing information with the community. It's not really happening. And the way people get behind a comprehensive plan, comprehensive planning, public engagement is not the greatest thing. I mean, you can get 100 people to a trails meeting or a recreation meeting, but comp planning and water systems, they're at the top of the things to
No,
do.
no,
So it behooves us to figure out how do we reach the broader community? And it's not like we need daily updates and regular updates, but we do need a feedback loop on what these committees are doing. And so if all the committees have been asked to develop a number of goals that address their issues and challenges they have or opportunities, we need to have a voice and say, yeah, that's right on track. Or if Firewise community has all this stuff, but there's nothing about how to get off the mountain if there's an evacuation and what route you take, I can bring that up. So this is good, but I don't know how to get out of if I'm a renter, I don't know how to get out of this house. What road do I take? If I'm supposed to go up and cross, how do I get past the resort lock gates? Other things that might come in, certified, whatever. So anyway, the point is, we need a way to have the community maybe vote. Pick your top 3 goals and put your dots by them. We'd have a windshield survey of all the committees on what the most important thing the community says for lodgers tax, and all the money or most of the money should go towards, fixing potholes or whatever, they come up with, which is not realistic, of course, but, or, we need this big event tent. That's the coolest thing we've done here. Or we need a lodge tax money to go to a trail that connects out to the RV park, whatever people think. So we need that feedback loop. We also need to say, if someone gives a comment, we need to capture that comment and say, well, your comment's important to us, but it doesn't fit.
response to comments.
Response to comments is really important. Otherwise, people just like, why am I commenting?
Yeah.
Why am I?
Yeah, you need to respond.
So this town hall concept would be. And Mark brought it up, and it can't be at their event. It would be, maybe it's in the tent. But it's a big event where I see a 2-3 hour event. That's an open house style meeting. So it starts off with the mayor blessing the meeting, having, whatever he needs to do. For a few minutes, maybe an update on the village about emergency procurement for $3,000, whatever they think they need to do. But then it goes to, you go to all the different tables. Kurt should be there, the water department should be there. Public streets should be there, what the goals are, what their issue is, bring your concerns. All the committees would have a representative. You'd be able to hear what they're working on. And you'd have sticky notes to comment, leave a comment on a whiteboard. Another whiteboard would be, here are key issues listed in bullet format, and here's our 3 to 6 key goals. And you vote them. And then you'd likely repeat that process of the mayor's halfway through. He might do another few comments that people come for the second half. So you going, as soon as you make your piece and you talk to whoever else and you can make your piece and make your sticky notes, you leave, you don't have to stay. And then you do it again. But it'd be a good networking opportunity for the community, so that everyone's working on the same page. I presented this town hall concept to Brett about a month ago. He has since given it to Visit Angel Fire folks, Mr. Ralph and Brandon to start working on it. Question is, do we do this in May when the golfers come back? And before we do the big member weekend, which is already too much stuff, so it's overwhelming. So that's one idea of outreach strategy. The other one, and we'll talk about that in a second, the other one is these podcasts. So I did hear the podcast that Jake was on, talking about workforce housing. It was really well done. 15 minutes. There was questions. So for us, the question is, what questions would we want each committee be asked? So we might want to prepare some questions to give to Greg, so if he can invite fire adaptive or recreation, hey, what are you, same format for all of them. And they would be listed, they could talk about issues and what their goals are, and way to get some feedback on what's going on. And there ought to be a place, how do you comment on it? Is it just the Facebook page, or is there a place to have on the city website where people can comment on the podcasts? That, here's my concern about workforce housing, I don't see any discussion of a dog park in this workforce housing area, I really wanna see a dog park, or I wanna make sure they all have, you know, RV garages attached to them, whatever, but those are a couple ideas I've had for outreach strategies to get this going, and we also need to find a way to better use the website, cause
Yes, Village Voice and such.
it's better, but still trying to find this agenda. I thought I would see it right there on the comp plan link, but it wasn't. I had to go into agendas to find it,
Oh, wow.
which gets
Yeah.
confusing. It should be one click and you're at the
I
site.
haven't checked it's my bad. but
Yeah, but
I haven't checked for like Village Voice. Is it easily readily accessible right on the front of the webpage?
I think it is now.
It is?
There's the front, the webpage has got a little better design to it,
Okay.
but there's still a lot
We
of
asked
links
for that,
missing.
but I don't know if it was.
There's also a need for us to update the website on who's on this committee, because it's pretty outdated. On that. So thoughts on the town hall concept? What do you think? Is that something that does, make sense?
Yes, and I'm thinking May is probably the most reasonable time,
Okay,
middle to late May.
Yeah,
yeah,
People are starting to show up, the golf season starts, and we're not gonna be ready by then. I mean, we're gonna be just getting ready to. We need to get these committees going again. Some of them are far along, others are just really limping along, so. And we need to get the information and be able to present those major issues and have people vote, so that means a lot of prep. We're gonna need a project manager to help set that up, so I don't see us doing it any sooner than that.
okay,
I think we need to try it in this town hall, really educate people as to what this comprehensive plan is.
Mhm.
Because if I'm on the fire adaptive committee, I know what it is. It's a one issue thing you're dealing with. But people do not understand what this even people on these other committees.
yeah, no,
They have asked me, what the hell is this committee doing?
Yeah.
You know, they're telling us they want all this stuff from us, and we need to educate people
Mm.
on what this plan is and how it will be used. And maybe that's one of the things we can do in the beginning of a town hall meeting, and then however we want to proceed with it, go forward.
We tried to have meetings and work sessions to do that, but it just
It doesn't-
fell apart. It
well,
didn't
I-
happen the way we were hoping it would.
I
They
think,
didn't attend the meetings.
I think you need to probably adjust your expectations of like how many people would come to a town hall in Angel
Mhm.
Fire. I mean, if we had 40 people there, I would say it was a success.
So
Yeah.
what you said,
It's
something you
success.
said, Owen, I think was really helpful, and that is maybe combine it with some sort of event.
Yeah, and that's the reason why, like he was saying that there's sometimes 300 or 400 people. Well, they also give you beer and barbecue
Yeah.
after the meeting.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
I don't think if you didn't do beer and barbecue, I'm not sure how many people would go to sit at that meeting, let's be honest. So, I mean.
Yeah.
That's where, I mean, if you're talking late May, I mean, you're already, the golf course is gonna open and 1 week later is Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, I'm not sure when you would try to do a meeting in there, or whether you would try to do it the weekend of Memorial Day. Or whether you would try to do it, but I'm not sure there's a lot of time in between the golf course opening and Memorial Day weekend.
The weekend before, if we didn't think Memorial Day weekend was a good weekend for it,
Yeah, you could do the opening weekend of the golf course.
yeah, which is,
like the 18th or something, right?
Typically,
Oh, that's
it's between the 18th and
that
23rd.
wouldn't be bad.
Well, and the Rogers Tax is planning a big to do
Memorial Day.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we're gonna have our
They're gonna have the tent up and,
That would be
Okay,
a
man,
good-
it's-
They're gonna have the rodeo over here
yeah.
again.
And then the cool Friday nights are gonna be in the tent this year, or outside of the tent. It's gonna be moved down here. But you know, we could put together maybe something to explain what this committee is and put it in the Village Voice that goes
Mhm.
out.
Absolutely.
Right.
So, because everybody
That's
reads
part of
that,
That's
you
part
know.
of it, for sure.
Uh,
That's nice that you get in your bill.
But yeah, a lot of us are now electronic.
Do they
I don't
send it
get the bill.
electronically with the bill?
I don't get the one.
I do, and mine's drafted.
I still get mine and mine's drafted also.
Yeah.
I think I asked them to stop sending
Oh,
because it's silly. Waste of mail.
So we gotta do a write-up, so we gotta do a write-up of, you know, what's the concept, comprehensive plan? This is kind of the same presentation we did last September at the brewery, maybe we the ones that caused the shutdown. We went for it.
It's like.
Right, 2 nights later, it's, so we can do an article, what's the comp plan about? It could be in the Village Voice, it could even be the mayor's always. needs to write
Podcast,
the channel, so
hit
it's
all of it, hit all of these.
yeah,
Right.
I agree with
Yeah.
that. The more you,
Yes.
the more people understand.
And this is a good time to do it, because we're gonna gear up for, getting
What
feedback.
newspaper?
It could be the newspaper. I've done community conversations
Yeah.
where you have a whole pull out spread that talk about all the issues in the
Wow.
community that inspire some conversation on different projects. You could do that. You could have a whole pull out section, and you might have to pay for it, but why not have hear the
This
issues?
is a PSA.
Yeah. Big PSA. So that's a good idea. Okay. I'll work on what is a comp plan and the value of it, and then Greg, whoever can edit it however they want to. I'll take on that action.
I know. Last conversation I had with Greg, he was telling me they're getting pretty good response on their podcast,
Yeah,
and it's encouraging. So I've got so much stuff planned for this next year. Good. Presented at the council Tuesday night.
but I think, I know
How
it's
you gonna
probably
do that?
too much, but we could at least bring in our outline, maybe even just the section headers,
Yeah,
so that people know, and maybe a descriptor.
sure.
Yes, maybe copies.
Yeah, a lot of these things, I mean, I have a philosophy when I go to church, if after 10 minutes, they've lost me. Like you gotta make your point, get off the stage and.
Yes.
And everything, if you go on it too long, then people lose attention and focus, but. On things like the podcast, those are 15 minutes, you're excited, you show or share a vision of what this is gonna be like. You should probably do it, and then that way, if you own that ability to, like your, elevator pitch or whatever you wanna call it, your
TED
commercial,
Talk,
TED Talk, then you can present it and people will be focused, but. People got about a 5 or 10 minute attention span, and after that, they're gone.
5 minutes.
That's why I thought the town hall idea would be open house style. where it's-
You just talk to them.
Mayor can talk for a minute, someone can talk, why are we doing a comp plan? What does it do for the community? And then go talk to whoever you want to talk to. You're done, leave.
And I really like the idea of having like the little tables around.
Yeah.
And there's gonna be a lot of people, they wanna talk to the water department.
Right.
The road.
Oh, yeah, for all kinds of reasons.
Yeah, and so, but it's, we're gonna try to do things, definitely try to make it in conjunction with some of the.
Sure.
It's just an evolving.
Santos, your thought on the town hall concept?
No, I think that's fine. I think that makes a lot of sense. And, I think we also should be open to having more than just one. I think getting to May is going to be a tight schedule. I think it's doable. And then you also have July option. I just think we should not be afraid to do it when we're busy in the summer, to maybe have some follow-ups and some additional ones as well. That's all.
Right. Well, it might start a trend that maybe the planning director has your responsibility of doing 3 town halls a year to talk about whatever's going on locally or between the resort or otherwise. So I did hear Brett an email back to me because he wants to make a town hall an annual event. They also talked about dignitaries and whatnot, and I quickly ruled out and said, no, we don't want dignitaries. We need to work.
Dignitary.
Well, gotta bring in,
What?
that's how politicians think.
Beyonce.
Yeah,
What?
Beyonce.
Yeah.
the Kendrick Lamar guy.
Oh, no.
It does make me think of an idea, and I will talk to Greg Ralph, is that if we have those Friday night concerts, if we can have a different committee person do 2 minutes before the concert starts. you have a captured audience already,
Yeah.
you know, type of a thing, and we've, you know, it's not that big of a deal if you keep it short.
That's a good idea.
How about, you know? Then you're like, what the? We can't hear her.
Well, we could also do,
But I don't see any problem.
if we had the community conversation page, we could also just hand out a QR code, business card, comp plan, scan it.
You could even
read
have
something on the
something at the
website.
farmer's market too.
Yeah, you could, well, yeah,
Student booth.
yeah, if we have people do that, that's about we need communication.
That's the thing.
people.
Project manager or somebody like that, yeah.
But if we did have a comp plan overview and how to get involved, QR code thing on the website, that would be also
Yep,
another strategy. Here's how to get involved if you wanna participate. Here's comments, if you have any comments about these topics, leave them here. That could be pretty easy to pull off.
I mean, it's difficult for these communities, and I just want to interject something really quick, so like, you're talking about the nice guys. You know, like the lodgers tax, the membership is mandatory, it's to business people, to lodgers people, and an independent citizen at large. If you have a committee that's all people who want the most extreme thing,
mhm,
they're going to produce something.
Yeah.
That's gonna be extreme.
Yeah.
And, but because that committee wasn't mandated, that you have
Yeah.
somebody who's not for that. And so I think that's where we kind of run into those problems, and all of a sudden an ordinance is created, and now everybody's like, well, you know, I mean, it's not a blackout community, you know, type of a thing, and,
right.
and I didn't mean to pick on them in this one thing.
No, but that's a
It's an
great
example
example.
we have to
Yeah.
work with.
We have to work with, we have to be cognizant of, is that if we don't, you know, if somebody's in an echo chamber, they're gonna produce a product that's gonna reflect that, and we don't want to have that either. So when we're looking at people, we need to kind of diversify
Mhm.
to have different opinions so that we don't produce something that's
Mhm.
I agree.
same thing.
It's gonna just gonna blow up and backfire.
Right, and then, and you won't get buy-in versus if you have, you know, well, this person that represents the business community, this person that represents, you
Right,
know, night skies, this person represents, then all of a sudden you get a product that is, that you can defend as representing the whole community.
right.
I know there's, an unspoken thing with regard to the Chamber of Commerce here. But I would really love to see a chamber person, based on what you're saying, just maybe just really think through. They really have a handle and a look on, development outlook in the community.
And that would be Joe Nixon. So,
Yeah, and I wouldn't have a problem with her being there, but I know there's maybe others that might,
Well, I think
but there's others.
the playing that out, you know,
Some of the board members, yeah, so.
yeah, I also think even the Trails Committee could have broader representation than Ford Trekkers on it.
Mhm.
I think I'd like to see a realtor on it,
Right,
because they have perspective of what visitors want for trails, and they hear
Yeah.
from the,
Yeah.
hear from the people buying, what kind of trails do you have, how far I go, can I do this, can I do that? And we're not hearing from these other really core important,
Well, you got the pickleball group, that's a recreation thing.
right,
It's not just trails, it's.
yeah, we have to, well, actually, half the trekkers do play pickleball, they're.
I know,
their asses
I know.
off in our communities.
I know. Hello, right here.
Yes.
Yes, Santos.
My apologies, my phone is dying. I'm at under 5%. And so,
I'm
Bill,
sorry.
no, that's all right. Bill, I'll be up tomorrow, hopefully by 9. So whenever you have time to stop by, just let me know.
Okey-doke. Will do.
Thank you, Santos.
Thank you, man, see ya.
Thanks, guys. Yeah.
Okay, so this idea of, community conversations, we've heard of it. Something where a QR code or a business card we can hand out for comp plan information. That's something that the project manager could also pull together, that's kind of. Because we're just, so at limited capacity, but anyway, okay, agenda, I think that's about it, except for wrap up. Review action items. So I captured a few things, let's see. Resend the Google link, so Thomas will be doing that. Bill's gonna visit with Jake on the template for workforce housing. Bill's gonna also visit with Brett and the mayor to revisit the 2019 economic plan, if we can bring that back into play, and include that as part of the comp plan. Next, meeting by agenda item could be the GIS system overview. And then as far as our vacancies, we need to prepare a memo or something to the mayor and the manager requesting 2 additional persons on that committee. And we'd also, we'll try to help understand what the responsibilities are for that. And then we also are gonna request that each committee send 2 at our monthly meetings to participate and get more knowledgeable about the process. Some of the skill sets we might be looking for in that vacancies could be communications, media, or other planning type folks.
Or even chamber.
Yeah, we're chamber. And then as far as the recommendation, we're gonna recommend that we do pursue a project manager. That this is basically the scope of work. They're familiar with Angel Fire. They have a kind of a planning background that can help move this thing forward. Okay. So those pieces of that puzzle, who can help with what real quick? As far as writing a memo, draft memo that we can all review for the mayor manager on the project manager idea. That's one task we've got to assign.
Let's see how. If I can meet with Santos tomorrow and
Okay.
get his ideas on what to do.
Okay.
I know that he and the mayor have had discussions. How far it's gone. And, but let me just kind of
So hold off until you
feel
hear
him out, and if he says, I'm all in, let's go talk to the mayor, I would, or whoever, or Brett.
So
We just say we're recommending we do that.
We're recommending, the committee recommends
We move forward with the
project
project.
manager. Okay, very good. And then, well, I'm gonna do an action writing up what is the comp plan and description that could be a village voice thing or a podcast, and we'll let Ralph take lead on that once he gets the information. Yeah, okay.
Next meeting date.
Yeah, and so the elephant in the room is still that we're not getting information from the committees. I guess maybe the template's overwhelming to them, because the template was overwhelming to our recreation trail secretary. It was like, I don't
What
get
is
all
this?
this. Yeah, so,
Even though I provided an example plus a blank.
right, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna create that into a Google Doc, and all committee members are gonna go and fill in, the what ifs if we don't work on this issue. If we don't work on safe crossing streets, someone's gonna finally get hit by a car or an ambulance or something running out here. So we're gonna work that, and we're gonna have a separate work session on goal development, where we're using the goals from the 2006 Trails Plan,
Wow.
the starting point, but they weren't SMART goals, so we've got to revise that. But the template may be the overwhelming part, because what we're really asking for is,
Existing condition.
Send me the template again, if you don't mind.
yeah, the existing conditions of, we have X number of rental units in the community, and X number are paying their fair share, X number aren't. Could be existing conditions, the issues could be the same, issues could be overlapping, and then the goals are, you'd say, we want to collect this much, and we want to allocate this much percentage annually to these very good, important causes in the community and so it's kind of a big picture goals, and then the objective of that is probably would come out after we do our next meeting if you haven't already developed them. So it's not like stuff you haven't already discussed and thought about in your committee, and I think every committee has done that, except it seems like the fire one is just thinking about SLAS management as opposed to forest health? Or what percentage of of the Angel Fire proper needs to be thinned, you know, how many houses
Right.
have thinned?
Look at it in the water,
Broader, yeah.
not just. But obviously, that's that's their priority, which is perfectly fine.
Yeah,
But there are other parts to it.
but it's missing the bigger picture of,
I was at the work session and they did talk about that, like what percent were.
yeah,
uh,
it did come up.
And then they finally, there's phases. The first
Mhm.
one is people who actually have houses.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Phase one, then lots.
Right.
Phase two.
Right, and they're never gonna get to phase two,
It's gonna be hard when we.
especially with Mark over there going, I just wanna confirm that we're not talking about all the lots that the resort owns.
When I don't know what that, theirs are included in that.
They're not.
They had the Firelight, no, the
In
brand.
this new grant that we're
Oh,
on
no,
is,
they're not.
is resort, the new
That's-
one is resort.
There
The
is
new
no-
one?
Yeah, the new
I thought it
grant,
was all outside the resort area.
and Mark would not be working on it if it wasn't benefiting the
Yeah.
resort.
Yeah,
Well, if it benefits the resort
No,
because.
no, the 10 million grant they just got
Yeah.
is a buffer around the
Yes.
village.
Yes,
The new 10 million they're going after is kind of resort focused with other parties.
that's why he said they had to go outside Angel
Right.
Fire because it's,
But the resort lands will benefit from this next 10 million.
yes,
grant.
yes. If-
And I'm glad that he's
I did
involved
not know
because my word of the street was, Rick was not willing to write another one on his own. Yeah, other people step up to the plate. So, but that's fantastic. Yeah, they did bring up, the chief said that, you know, our strategy is to work outside. Into the outside, and those outside in, so that was kind of a good
Yeah,
sort of message, but
I'm interested, I am gonna call them for my house just to see.
I am too.
What, what trees they tag and say, pick out.
Yeah.
So I think it would be a valuable service, and if people knew about it, they would, and they knew they could send a letter, because insurance is becoming a problem here.
Yeah, it is. You know, the interesting, on a side note on that is when, a lot of remember the old wetlands grants and the farm grants, you could have a certified, whatever, you put a sign out that NRCS would have a sign that now.
That you come here with a.
Yeah, equip programs or whatever it was,
Yeah.
so we could do the same here as a certified house, I'm willing to come, you can come look at my lot and see what I've done on it, and help people understand that it's not clear cutting, and I still got a few trees next to the house. The woodpeckers can jump from the tree to my log easier.
Well, and it's difficult for people, because, in the Flower Mountain, the suburb of Dallas, if you take a tree down, you have to plant twice the diameter of the tree to take down. So everywhere else in the world, it's a big deal.
Wow.
They don't want you to take trees
Yeah.
down.
No, I
We're
don't,
in a world where we want everybody to take their.
I don't wanna take any of my trees down.
See,
I'm gonna have him come and look at my place because I have 3 trees that I want to take down and my wife doesn't want.
Yeah,
And I hope
Our
they say
persuasion,
something about it.
just tell me what color ribbon they're putting.
Yeah, okay, next meeting.
Yeah.
And the quick topics for that, and we'll get out of here, next meeting, a month from now, you think?
I guess so.
I think-
I'm not gonna be in town, but I'll
Okay,
try
we'll
to
still do
attend.
it, okay, we'll still have to do it, keep it
Yeah.
going.
Okay, let's look at the calendar real quick.
I already had a meeting on the 20th for trails
Okay.
and on the
Darn.
13th.
Oh, I can't
so-
look at my,
It would be probably better, the mountain closes on the 23rd, so for me, it would be better if it was after that.
Okay.
Just because that last 2 weeks is spring breaks.
Agreed.
I probably wouldn't even be able to come to the meeting.
Okay. So the Thursday after
The 27th,
March 27th?
what's the following Thursday?
that would be the
You're into April.
April Fool's Day, probably, yeah.
April 3rd.
Yeah, I'm still not home by then.
Let's just
All
do
right.
March 27th.
March
We
27th.
gotta keep it going,
Yep,
March
yep, yep.
27th, next
Absolutely.
meeting.
Absolutely. So that's a Thursday?
Believe,
Okay,
Yes, it is.
okay, from 3 to 5?
yeah.
Yeah, it's the 27th.
Okay. I'm gonna have to, when I put the meeting notes together, the action items, I'm gonna go back through and pull things down that you first didn't mention.
Yeah,
But you might wanna take a good look
Okay.
at my action items to
Absolutely.
confirm that they are complete.
Well, good discussion today. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Owen, for,
We got our full 2 hours.
we
We
did.
did, I know, we used it. Appreciate it. Okay.
I didn't think we needed full 2 hours.
I didn't think we did either, but it, we did.
Just about
We
usually.
stayed on time. I mean, we're getting kind of, we didn't get off too much.
So do you need, your next council presentation? What do you need from us for that based on today's meeting, update from today's meeting? A few bullet points or?
Do we want to put more stuff on this?
That's kind of a big picture. I think
It
you
is.
might just want to update on, we had accomplished at this meeting that we've talked about these 4 or 5 things. How much do you want to update?
I would reiterate these things.
Yeah,
We want the existing conditions, we want this, we want that.
And we're
And
discussing,
that we are, something, maybe I can bring a couple more things into that list, things like, having committee members attend.
mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, we are done.
thank you. And then, also that, recommending that,
We are done.
we recommend, securing a project
Yeah, I
manager.
can put that on here, recommendation. And then, I'll put on
Recommendation to continue to include a town hall concept.
pursue multiple media outlets. For communication, including,
Well, I usually just give an after we've had a meeting, I just give an overview. We're going to,
yeah.
the main topics we discussed.
Good, okay.